Welcome and thank you all for joining us. We are so excited to have you. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and where in the globe that you are joined us today. My name is Elikem Tometi Archer. I'm the Vice President of Programs here at Global Citizen Year. We are super excited to host our Welcome Family webinar for our class of 2020. We are being joined today by our global team. So there are people represented in all 5 countries in which we operate. And we are excited to have this conversation with our families today. I'm going to start before we get into the agenda. I'm going to introduce you to a little bit of a ritual that we have here at Global Citizen Year, which is checking in with each other at the beginning of each meeting. We do this stoplight red, yellow, green check-ins at the beginning of each meeting sometimes to just see how present you are, given that we are all complex human beings with so much going on for us. Sometimes you are in a meeting and you feel like I'm totally present, 100%, you have my whole attention. Sometimes that's a green. Yellow is, I'm here, but I have a few things that are a little bit distracting to me. And then red is, listen, I'm physically here, but I'm almost not present mentally because there's just so much going on in my life. So we're going to do a check-in, and because of the way we are set up, that you don't have audio to talk to us, we will not be able to hear your check-ins, but I hope you all take a moment to check in with yourself to see how present you are in this meeting, and that's okay. We'll try to meet everybody where you are as we have this conversation. So again, my name is Elikem. This morning, I am a green. I am very excited to have everybody here. We are so looking forward to our class of 2020, and we've already started to engage all your fellows. And so we are happy, and I am excited to have us here and to begin these partnerships with our families. Today, you're going to meet the programs team, and we're going to introduce ourselves in different ways to us. But the programs team, basically, our mission in the organization, I believe, is to create the platform for a unique and transformative experience for all our fellows. And so we have a packed agenda for you that we're going to run through. I'm going to give you the highlights of the agenda really quickly right now, and then we're going to start that conversation. So the first thing we have on our agenda is, going to give it a minute to show up, team introduction. So I'm going to introduce our program leadership team and our team in the US, and then also each country program will introduce, each country representative this morning will then introduce their teams to you. We are going to do a little bit of an in-depth, a short version of the in-depth of the Global Citizen Year. I'm a parent. I know that sometimes our young people are not so communicative of processes and things that are going on in their lives. So some of you parents have been involved and know exactly what Global Citizen Year is and know the program and are ready to go. And some of you got like a little bit like mom and dad or grandma, aunt, I'm doing this thing and I have no idea what is going on. And so we will also make sure that we are all on the same page by the time we finish this presentation, that at least you have an overview of our Global Citizen Year, what we are doing, what your fellows have signed up for this year. We'll talk a little bit about our program structure and also our pre-departure campaign, which is really this work we are doing with your fellows this summer. Then we will spend some time introducing you to each of the country program, Brazil, Ecuador, India, and Senegal. As you know, we are operating in 4 countries. Then, just like me, I'm sure most family members on the call are thinking, how do I best support my fellow in this journey? So we'll spend a few minutes talking about what do you do to support your fellow? What are some of the positive things and what are some of the things you should probably try to avoid in your time with your fellows as your fellows take this journey on? Then we'll share some important dates and contacts with you. And then we want to leave 10, 15 minutes or at the back end for you to answer, for us to answer any questions that you may have. So that's our agenda for today, and I'm just going to jump into the team introductions. So I'll start with myself. I'm Elikem Tometi Archer. Like I said at the beginning, I'm the Vice President of Programs. I've been with the organization for 3 years. This is going to be the beginning of my 4th program cycle. So the class of 2020 will be my 4th cycle. And I'm super excited to be here with you. The program is supported or run by what we call a program leadership team. This is made up of 2 directors who are based in myself, in addition to 2 directors that are based in the Oakland office. Maria Anayashi. Maria heads up at teaching and learning. So she makes sure that the leadership training component, the leadership development skills and the curriculum are really developed, and there's quality and control and systems in place for that learning to happen. Jen Boyle is our Director of Program Operations. She ensures that we are running a very efficient and effective time shop, and she makes sure that our systems, our technology, and things like that are in place. Also, we have 4 directors or country leads in country. Chrislane D'Souza, a country lead in Brazil. Archana Rao, country director, India. Yuri Strobosh, country director, Ecuador. And Makumba Torre, our country director in Senegal. The 7 of us make up the program leadership team, and our job is really to oversee and monitor the fellow experience for your fellows. In addition to us, we also, right now, I want to introduce to you the US programs team. These are my colleagues that are based in our US office. Jessie Bove, Director of Program Operations, working with Jen, Rocio, Bravo, that I'm sure some of you already have interacted with and you will interact with if you haven't yet, who is our Fellow Success Manager. Mark Seidel, who is our Health and Safety Manager. Sharon Cravanes, Director of College Admissions Guidance. Arti Rao, Program Strategy and Impact Manager. And then we have 2 medical personnel who are on our staff, Mental Health Advisor Jamie Robertson and Cheryl Meyer, who is a medical advisor. This team are all based out of our US office. So right now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the program context. So there are 2 things that are going on here as we think about the program. Our young fellows that we work with are young adults that are an average of 18 years old. We know from science that the prefrontal cortex of the brain is still developing until age 25. So most of our fellows come in between 17 and 19-ish. And so we say an average of 20. And so the time period of their development means that they are curious. They are also risk takers. Sometimes they are unpredictable. There's a lot going on there as their executive functioning skills are still in development. This is the group that we are working with. They are also going to be in the context of the Global South. We are a global program. All the countries we operate in with our fellows are part of the Global South. And whilst we have international fellows that some live and have lived of experience in the Global South, a majority of our fellows, this is going to be the first time that they're going to be living in the Global South. And the Global South is quite different from what they are used to. We are talking about lower standards of hygiene, water and food quality, diverse cultural norms that they may not be used to, different standards and access to medical care, majority non-English speaking countries, with the exception of India that has English as one of the main languages. The other 3 countries that we work in, English is not an official language in any of those countries. And even in India, there are a lot of the population that do not speak English. Unreliable communication and services. So this is where family members, you will have to learn to be patient and gracious. with your fellows during the year. As you try to get a hold of them, sometimes networks will be down, systems will be down. You need to get familiar very soon with WhatsApp if you don't know what that is, which will be probably the primary cheap way for you to communicate. But the systems of communications are mostly unreliable. There's a higher prevalence of disease and poverty in the communities that they're going to live with and in the countries that they live in with, and the lower standards of transportation and roads. So you take the developmental stage of a young adult, which we're talking about as their executive functioning skills are still being developed. They are unpredictable, often they're risk takers. And you put that in this context that is new to them. We then, as a programs team and as Global Citizen Year, our job, and we believe we have been really doing a really good job of it over the last 10 years, is really systemically develop a program that helps the fellow being at the center learn to and mitigate and manage the risk that may be involved in this experience. We are not going to be able to take away all the risk, right? Because then we don't give them the opportunity to grow and learn and be stretched. However, we will work in partnership with our fellows and with our family members to make sure that, given these two contexts, they are in a place and in the moment that they can continue to thrive in the program during the duration of the program. So what is this program that we talk about for those of you that are not quite sure what they are embarking on? So we are a leadership development program. We do that through the gap year where they take time in an international setting for all of them, really. Even they are from a global south, they will be going to a different country in most cases, to really develop leadership skills. There are three main categories that we are going to be working with your fellows on this year. Self-mastery. This is because we believe that leadership is from the inside out. And so we believe that it is important to know yourself and to find your purpose. So the first part of the program is really designed, and curriculum is built around self-mastery, gaining more self-awareness, being more resilient, and learning to take initiative. Then the second phase of the program, when we're in the middle phases, after you learn a little bit about yourself, then it's community engagement. How do you engage your community around you? Know how to work with others to achieve impact. And that means developing empathy for people, for others, working in collaboration with them, and having a sense of civic responsibility. The last part of the program then focuses on global competency, knowing how the global context shapes the local reality. They are all going to be in a different country that they've grown up in. Some may have visited already, but they're definitely going to be in a country that they have not spent the last decade or two in. So really gaining that global perspective is important. Cross-cultural skills. How do you interact with people that look, speak, sound different, than you have different cultural norms than what you're familiar with? And for all our fellows learning a foreign language, the level of proficiency will be different, but they will all be learning a foreign language. And we think that when you bring those three things together, then our goal is then to create the leaders with the sense of purpose, global skills, and moral courage to build a better world, starting from the inside out. So you're going to hear a lot about this, this term in the next year, being in your stretch zone. So we all know our comfort zone, which is sort of like home, things that are familiar, eating the familiar foods, whatever, friends and family. And then you're going to move into your stretch zone. The stretch zone is where we believe learning most happens. So this is where we challenge ourselves to take a step outside of our comfort zone. Each and every fellow who has signed up for this is already signing up for something outside the stretch zone. They're going to leave home, some of them, a lot of them for the first time, most of them definitely for the longest stretch of time without family. And so it's going to be in their stretch zone that we believe that learning happens. And over the year, you will see our team leaders and the rest of the staff push fellows into their stretch zone and coach and mentor them to stay in their stretch zone so they can learn. We do not want our fellows to be in the panic zone. Panic zone is where learning does not happen, just like the comfort zone, where they are so anxious or so nervous or so scared. And so should anything happen where we believe with in consultation with the fellow that they are in the panic zone, we will bring them back into a comfort zone to sometimes de-escalate, to give them a breather and get them back into the stretch zone, because the richer their richest experience and learning will definitely happen in that stretch zone. So for families, as you support your fellows and you're talking to them through the year, this is a terminology you will hear us use and you can mirror to them. Do you feel that this is a stretch zone? Are you feeling more panic? And the team is going to be working to keep them in that stretch zone. So I've talked about the fellows a lot because really what we are all here for, staff and parents, is and family members, is really to support our fellows. And in Global Citizen Year, we are really intentional about using a fellow-centered support system, or a fellow-centered approach in everything that we do. So we have the fellow at the center. There's the US programs team, our college counseling, our country directors, parents, and all other family or guardians and other family members, our host families in the countries that they are going to be in, our partners who are supervisors, our language tutors or local partners, their regional and country cohorts, which are their fellows, and their team leaders, that's their frontline staff members, like our teachers, if you will. And then also alums that come and support them in the first part of their journey that we call program coordinator interns. These are alums that have done the program already. All of us are there to wrap support around the fellows, right? And you will hear us during the year intentionally make decisions that puts the fellow at the center. What is the best outcome for the fellow at this point in their journey? What do they need? Do they need to be stretched? Do they need to be pulled back into a comfort zone? Do they need to stay there? Do they need to leave and come home because that is the best outcome for the fellow right now? Is that what the fellow needs? And so in partnership with the staff and our partners and our family members, we will always be keeping our fellows at the center when we make decisions. And sometimes like I said at the beginning, I'm a parent and that can feel a little bit jarring, but I would want us to think about together the fact that this really for your fellows is them having their own agency and developing more their muscles around their executive functioning decision and making decisions for themselves. And so we will be trying to coach and support them to do that with a really intentional focus of the fellows being in the middle. So I'm gonna pass it on right now to my colleague Jennifer, who is going to talk to you a little bit about the program structure. And I'm going to ask Jen to start with telling us whether she's red, yellow, or green.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen. I am the program director of program operations, and I am green this morning. It is a beautiful summer morning in Oakland, California, and I'm super excited that we're just about 2 months away from getting to welcome the fellows in person for the first time. So I'm green, and that is actually a good segue. I'm going to give you a brief tour of the program cycle. And so following the the senior year that fellows have just finished up. Congratulations, all the grads. We enter to the very first part of the program, which is the pre-departure campaign. And this is actually the phase that we're in right now. We launched it earlier in June. And the main goal of pre-departure campaign is to get fellows ready for their Global Citizen Year. And I'm going to not go into detail there. Rocio, in the next slide, is going to tell you a little bit more about what fellows are doing this summer. But that is the very first phase, is pre-departure campaign. At the end of pre-departure campaign, all of the fellows in August, all the fellows come together here in California for Global Launch, which is an orientation, it's a training, and it's a team building experience. And the key word with Global Launch is really global. This is the first chance they have to meet all of the global cohort, everybody who's going to any country. And also, this is the space where we really talk about their preparation and orientation at a global level. At the end of Global Launch, they all, each cohort gets on a plane together and flies to their host country, and then they immediately start with their country launch, which is a continuation of the orientation process. They start their language training at that point, and they're doing more team building and really focusing on the country context. So now we're getting into the details of what it's going to be like to live in this place for the next 7 months. Country launch also includes kind of a phased immersion. So what we do is after the initial welcome week, when all the fellows are together, they go out and meet their host families for the first time. And they spend about a week with their host families, getting to know them and getting to know their immediate community. And then they come back together as a cohort, and they get to debrief that experience and talk about what was challenging, what was successful. And then after that, they go back out to their host families, and now they are living with their host families, and they start going to their apprenticeship for the first time. They do that for a couple of weeks, and they come back again together with their cohort, again do a debrief, talk about how that went, and do the closing seminar. And in that way, we sort of initially give them a chance to dip their toe in and come back and get support with their cohort before they enter the big immersion part of the program, which is what comes next. So after the closing of country launch, we move into the main immersion part of the program. Here you see it's called apprenticeship and homestay, because that's really the big meat, the big activity during their main immersion is they're living in their homestay, they're working in their apprenticeship, they're continuing their language training, and this is really the main substance of the program. And as you can see, there's a lot of steps that happen before they get to this point. We really want to prepare fellows to be as successful as they can in this part of the program. So then fast forward to April, and all the fellows again get on an airplane with each other, and they come back to California for re-entry training. And here, this is where they're reunited with their global cohort again after the end of the year. And this is a chance for them to reflect on the past year, to share stories with each other, and to prepare for what's going to come next after Global Citizen Year in a really supportive environment with other fellows and with staff. Before they officially become an alum of the program, there's one final activity, which is the Capstone Project. And this is a chance really for them to share the experience, to continue their processing and to share their experience with their family, with their friends, and with their community. And then lastly, they become an alum. And in 2020, those fellows will join just about 1,000 other Global Citizen Year alums and become a part of that community. So that's it for the program cycle. I'm going to pass it on now to Rocio, I think.
Hi, good morning. My name is Rocio, and I'm also a Green. I'm very excited to meet the fellows in August, and I've already had the pleasure of working with most of them, all of them, by now. So I'm feeling very, very good and really excited for the upcoming year. And I'm going to talk about the pre-departure campaign, which is the phase that we're in right now, to give you a little bit more of an understanding of what your fellow is really working on. So first, they are fundraising, and we all issue fellows a goal, a leadership challenge, to raise money for the Global Scholarship Fund that helps us provide a Global Citizen Year to fellows of all backgrounds. And we will be giving tips and resources to fellows throughout the summer and also throughout the year so that they can achieve their goal. But we encourage them to go out into their communities and fulfill this goal in the most authentic way possible. Fellows will also be responsible for getting their vaccines and their visas. And these are very country specific. Every country has specific regulations, specific guidelines, and rules. And so I would encourage fellows to go into their fellow portal and look at what those specific guidelines are for each country. And that's the same for visas and vaccinations. And both are actually due in August. So we want fellows to be working on those two big buckets at the moment. We also have a DocuSign, and fellows received something in their email. It's a recap of our terms and conditions as well as of our policy handbook, and we're asking fellows to review this, read it carefully, and sign it. And once fellows sign it, it then automatically sends the same email and the same handbook to parents and families to review. And we're asking you to please go through this carefully so you understand more about our policies, and then return it to us by July 1st. So if you haven't seen it, please ask your fellow to check their inbox, and you can review it together and get it back to us. We also have language learning, so all fellows have access to Rosetta Stone, and we encourage fellows to go on it, use it, it's free for them, and spend a couple of hours a week practicing their language and getting familiar with some of the vocabulary they'll be using. They also have some toolkits on their portal and some like cheat sheets for vocabulary to learn, so we're encouraging fellows to do this. It's not mandatory, but highly recommended. And then finally, we will meet all of our fellows at Global Launch on August 25th. This is the time when they come together at Stanford, and as Jen said, it's the first official training. We are all so excited for this event. We're all working also very hard to make it successful. So we are very excited, and this happens at Stanford, and then from there, all fellows get together on their plane and head off to their country as a group. So that's it for pre-departure campaign. Now I'm going to pass it back to Elikam to introduce our teams in each country.
Sorry, there's a lot of background noise here, so if there's a lot of shouting in the community here, so if you hear that, pardon me. And so we work in we work in 5 countries, but our programs are running. The fellows are going to be living in 4 countries: Brazil, Ecuador, India, and Senegal. Our job on the program team is really to ensure that there is good quality and consistency in the learning that happens in all the 4 countries. However, as you know, these countries are very diverse, they are very unique, and we also want to be intentional about making sure that each program for each fellow in that community and in that country is unique to and authentically Brazilian, Ecuadorian, Indian, or Senegalese. And that is a really intentional part of the program design. And so I'm going to turn it over now to our capable country leads who are going to talk to you about their countries. And the first person is Chris, and she's going to talk about Brazil.
Hi, everyone. Great pleasure to be talking to you today. I'm Crislane Souza. I'm the country lead for Brazil. And I'm definitely green today, but I'm also yellow and blue because those are the colors of the Brazilian flag. Very Brazilian today. So talking a little bit about Brazil. Brazil is the biggest country in South America. We have a population of 200 million people. Our official language and the only language we speak is the Portuguese, although all the countries around here, not all, but almost all the countries around us speak Spanish. We do not. We only speak Portuguese. And the fellows will be learning Portuguese and speaking Portuguese by the end of the program. We are a country of immigrants and mixed race. So it's very hard to describe how a Brazilian looks like. It can be any look, any type, because we're very mixed. Our culinary, our food varies a lot from region to region, also because of the availability region. But overall, we have some national dishes like the rice and beans. We eat every single day rice and beans. Fellows will be eating rice and beans a lot. We also have our famous barbecue and our feijoada, which is black beans and pork stew. Fellows' favorite food normally are açaí, the Amazon little berry, you probably know, and pão de queijo, which translates to cheese bread, a little snack. Everybody loves it. Carnaval is our the biggest and our most popular cultural manifestation. Fellows will be part of it because it happens in February. Some of them get really engaged and even play on Carnival. They participate in the Carnival groups and help to organize the parade in Florianopolis, and also play on some of the groups. Brazil is known for many things, football, samba, Rio, but for me, the things I like to highlight the most is the nature and biodiversity. We have one of the most famous forests in the world, the Amazon, which fellows really want to go, but then they arrive here and they realize we are in the south and the Amazon is in the north, and they give up. Talk a little bit about our team now. So our team here in Brazil, it's me, I'm the country lead, Cris, and then we have Annalise, our operations manager, Julia Froza, which is our health and safety manager, and we have 3 amazing team leaders, Marcela Rafael, Leticia Jorge, and Hector Gomes. We are all located in our hub city in Florianopolis, and we almost all Brazilians, only Hector is Venezuelan. Our hub city, Florianopolis, is an amazing, beautiful island, which is very known in many places for the amount of beaches we have. We have 42 beaches in Florianopolis, and it's also a high surfing spot. A lot of surfers come here because of the amazing waves. The city has 500,000 people living here. It's the capital of the state of Santa Catarina. So for a capital, it's considered small in Brazil. It's a small population. And it's a mix of urban areas. So we have very urban neighborhoods, like huge downtown areas, as the one you can see in the picture. But also we have rural neighborhoods in the middle of the island, like very rural with like cows and everything. So fellows will be living with homestays in a different range of house. It can be an apartment building, or it can be in a wood house by the beach in a fishing neighborhood, for example. Apprenticeships also vary a lot. We have some environmental apprenticeships with animals and environmental education. And we also have many education apprenticeships in public schools with special needs education, with special needs kids and adults, and also in after-school programs with unprivileged kids in unprivileged neighborhoods. And we also have some others that vary from direct social work with homeless or elderly people, and entrepreneurship, apprenticeships, a lot of other general ones. Overall, Floripa offers many opportunities for fellows. We have 2 big universities in the town, so we have many free events to discuss cultural, civic engagement, and political issues. So it's a very rich culturally and in terms of opportunities for fellows. That's it for now, and I'm gonna pass for David to talk a little bit about Ecuador.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Ecuador, our fantastic little country in South America that is ultra diverse. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to start by introducing our team here in Ecuador, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more of the country afterwards. So in our team, we are the largest program in the GCY countries outside of the US. So we are divided into 3 different regions. Our country director, Yuri, and Karen, who's our program coordinator, are in the city of Quito, the capital of Ecuador, mostly taking care of administrative risk management tasks. And then we're divided in two different regions. One in the north, where Melissa Mantilla is a program manager, and I am located in the south of Ecuador as the manager for the program in the southern cohort. We have a fantastic team of team leaders. In the north, we have Ali, who is originally from the US, and Annie, who is also American. And we have another team leader that is joining us soon. In the southern cohort, we have Diana Quintero, who is originally from Ecuador, Pedro Mosquera, who is originally from Ecuador, from the city of Cuenca, and our colleague Laurel, who is from Wisconsin, and myself, who I am from Mexico and Canada. I have a dual nationality. So I'll tell you more about Ecuador, our little fantastic country in the southern hemisphere. So Ecuador is a country that is super diverse. We're divided in 4 different regions. The most prominent one is definitely the Andes Mountains. So from north to south, we're covered by the Andes. And then to the east of the country, we share part of the Amazon rainforest with Peru, Colombia, and Brazil. So we have a very, very important piece of that. The Amazon rainforest is very rich in resources as well as ethnic cultures. The coastal region of Ecuador is also one that is very prominent, especially for its cuisine. The food in the coast is just fantastic and full of nuances. So if your fellows have the chance to visit the coast, we encourage to take some food there. And finally, one of the most important areas of Ecuador, and probably the most world-renowned, is the Galapagos Island, who was made famous by Charles Darwin and his studies in evolution. So Ecuador has a really interesting story of connection to Spain, to Europe. The Spaniards came to this area of the world many, many centuries ago and had a mixture, a colonization, and then a mixture of cultures between indigenous and cultures, forming another culture, a third culture, which is mestizo. Ecuador has very distinct regions, and the culture will vary depending on where you are located. So there's the mestizo culture, there's Afro-Ecuadorians, there's coastal Ecuadorians, there's indigenous Ecuadorians, and within that, there's a lot of variety if you are in the Amazon or if you're in the Andes. Ecuador's currency is the US dollar. It is something that changed in the year 2000 just to help the economy prosper, just to have stability in those aspects. Ecuadorians love their food, but I have to tell you, food here is not spicy. Unlike some people believe everywhere in South America they eat spicy food. Ecuadorian food is not that spicy. It is very diverse though, and food is often linked to celebration. There's a say that goes like this: tell me what you're eating and I'll tell you what you're celebrating. So depending on what is the celebration, you have a different treat, a different dish, a different variety of foods, fruits, and vegetables. One of the things that is really interesting in Ecuador is the consumption of guinea pig. I know that in North America and in other places in the world, guinea pig is a pet, but in Ecuador, it's a delicacy and is served especially during special celebrations. It is offered as a sign of respect, or you often give it out when you want to ask for a favor. Let's say that you want someone to be the godmother or godfather to your child, you will present them with a guinea pig. Some of the most important celebrations in Ecuador include Carnaval, but unlike the Brazilian one, which is full of dance and folklore, ours is a massive water fight. So we have a 3-day-long water fight where people are getting ready or releasing a little bit of steam before Lent. The other good celebration or very interesting celebration that we have is in New Year, where we burn an effigy of the old year and prepare to receive the new year. So as I mentioned, we're divided into regions, the northern hub and the southern hub. If we can move to the next slide, thank you. The northern hub, it is close to the border with Colombia. We have a big presence of indigenous Ecuadorians and Afro-Ecuadorians in that area. There's actually a really neat story of Afro-Ecuadorians that used to live in areas of the Amazon rainforest that escaped and moved inland, and that's why there's a big presence of Afro-Ecuadorians in north of Ecuador. There's smaller communities. The hub city in the northern hub, which is Ibarra, has about 130,000 people, so it's relatively small. And there's a lot of contact with immigrants and refugees from Colombia and Venezuela. Ecuador has had, because its geographic location has been receiving immigrants from those two communities as a result of the conflicts that they've had over the last 30 years. So there's a lot of interaction with that. In terms of the apprenticeships that are located in the Northern Hub, I mean, a lot of it has to do with education, supporting the instruction of English, which is a priority of the Ecuadorian government, supporting different cooperatives that work on handicrafts, that work on touristic activities, that support social services, and so on. The Northern Hub is very different, and it will be a very different experience for those fellows that go to the north from those that go to the south. So moving on to the Southern Hub. The Southern Hub is located in the provinces of Cañar and Azuay, and these two provinces have a very strong history of migration to the United States and Europe. So many of the families that are connected to our program will have relatives who lived or who are currently living in those countries. They move there as immigrants just to better the conditions of their families. So it's very interesting to hear their perspective and their connection to North America through migration. The Southern Hub of Ecuador is also known for their archaeological sites, specifically from the last period of the Inca culture. So we have a very prominent archaeological site called Ingapirca, which is in the province of Cañar, that just displays some of those ruins. This region is also known for the Panama hat, the production of Panama hats. And here's a very quick and easy fact for you to remember. The Panama hat was created in Ecuador, not in Panama. It was just shipped out of Panama. So the fellows in the Southern Hub will see this. It's very a sense of pride, the production of these hats. In terms of the apprenticeships, similar to the Northern Hub, we have a very big diversity. We have fellows that work in environmental projects in terms of recycling, composting, others that work with animals in terms of animal welfare or the keeping of bees. Others work in social services or education, similar to the Northern Hub and in many other countries in GCY. So that's it for me. I'm gonna pass it to Adnan in India.
Hello, good evening. I would begin with being a bright yellow because it's the end of the day. It's about 9:45 in the night. I'm super ready to go sleep. So it's a yellow. I'm somewhere in the middle of two, trying to figure out myself. And to begin with India team, I want to just say from Ecuador, we come to India, which is the smallest and the newest country. So we would be beginning a fifth cycle this year. So your fellows who would be joining us would be part of the fifth cycle for Global Citizen Year India. And to introduce you our team, we have Archana Rao, who's the country director. Then we have Suchi, who's our India program assistant, and she is based out of Pune, one of our cities. And we have Tuguri Vashira, who's been with us from Kenya, and she's been working with us in Pune for the last 1 year. And we have Zuni, who's again from India, and she's a team leader in Hyderabad. And I'm a team leader with Tuguri in Pune. And we're yet to hire a health and safety manager who would be based out of Hyderabad. So once we do that, that update would be out there. So that's us. Moving forward from there, something we always talk about is why do fellows join Global Citizen Year? And the reason for that is because they get to go a level deeper inside a country, deeper inside a community, which they can probably just read about on the internet or just pass through as a tourist. And why do we bring them down with Global Citizen Year? Because we give them two really important critical parts of the experience, which is the apprenticeship and host family. And the program in India is based out of an urban community. So most of the fellows live in apartment blocks, individual bungalows, or they would be living in co-op housing societies. And because of our requirements of how fellows are placed and what the housing situation is, our fellows usually come in the top 10 to 15% of the socioeconomic background families. Because the way it is located, families to have a separate bedroom, they usually come in the top 10 to 15% of the socioeconomic circle, which means the fellows get an experience of a very, very different kind of India, which they might not have thought of, or that's not the general way of what India is, but they get to see families who have traveled abroad, families who travel by business class, families who take multiple holidays a year. And to kind of counter that, they have an absolutely amazing apprenticeship with an organization called Teach for India. So while you might think our apprenticeship is only education, what Teach for India is doing is kind of broadening what education means. How can kids, young kids from very underprivileged economic backgrounds make a difference in the community, make a difference in their life ahead? And that's where Teach for India comes in, where they're not just focusing on education in classrooms, but they're also focusing on human development. What does it mean for this child to develop as a human so that they can go ahead and become leaders? And to accompany that is where our Global Citizenship Fellows come in. They work as teachers' assistants, but they do anything and everything from music, from sports, to something called as Kids Revolution and Entrepreneurship. And they work on small tasks, big tasks, sometimes teaching, sometimes handling 60 kids in one classroom. So they go through all of this and often not speaking the same language. So it's often a lot of shouting, it's a lot of handwork, hand gestures, and it's also sometimes just walking out of the classroom. But it's all a part of what Elikam was talking earlier about being in the threat zone. And we believe this brings them a very different kind of reality to what India is, because they go for the community visits. So they actually go and see the kids' homes. They get to see what backgrounds they come from, families where there is one small room and there are over 10 people living in a house. But that's the reality, and they're still extremely happy, and they're still really full content in many ways. And to be able to see these two starking realities of India, I think really takes them in a level deeper into what they see in India, and I believe in other countries as well, definitely. So that was the overall brief of what India is. And in India, we work in two cities. One is Pune, and Pune is the closest city to Mumbai. So I believe Mumbai is the most known city in India. Pune is roughly 3 hours drive from Mumbai. So you take a really nice drive up the hill. You get on a height into Pune, and it is located in a state called Maharashtra. And the local language spoken over here is called Marathi. Our fellows have in the past tried to learn Marathi, but they understand a few slangs or words which help them get around. But really, Hindi and Marathi together can be interesting at times. So we don't focus so much on Marathi, but we leave them with Hindi and let them learn Marathi either through their families or just on the streets when they're taking buses, auto rickshaws, or talking to the Uber or Ola drivers. Ola is the equivalent of Uber in India. So they have access to all these things, but at the same time, it's a struggle because language exists, locations exist, and navigation is a different thing. Traffic is a different thing in India. And to give you a brief history of what Pune and Maharashtra was, Pune was the head of the center of the Maratha kingdom. So back in the history of India, when we were kingdoms and princely states, Pune used to be the center for Maratha kingdoms, and the Marathas were known as the warriors. So you would see a lot of museums, you would see quite a few forts in and around Pune, which basically depict warriors, people going out to fight and conquering land. And that's a brief about Pune. Now moving on to Hyderabad. Hyderabad is further southeast of India, and compared to Pune, it would be roughly 1 hour, 15-minute flight from Mumbai. So getting there by road would take you over 12 hours. That's why the fastest way to get there is by flight from Mumbai. It comes in a state called Telangana, which is also one of our newest states that has been formed. So Telangana was formed in 2014, which got separated from a state called Andhra Pradesh. And now Hyderabad is the capital of Telangana. The language spoken there is Telugu, which, to be completely honest, I don't know either. Like the script is just artwork to me. I can't even read it. It's not even the same script as Hindi or Marathi, so it's something completely different. And fellows have a lot of fun learning that. I feel like if Marathi or Hindi was a level 6 out of 10 on difficulty, probably Telugu would be 15 or 17. So it's a different game altogether. And that's the language that is spoken in Telangana, especially in Hyderabad. And Hyderabad was the hub for the Mughal and the Nizam Empire. So it has a lot of influence from Persia and the Arabic influence. It's got one of the highest concentrations of Muslim population in India, and also a lot of Urdu is spoken, which also means some amazing food, like really fragrant, beautiful rice, meat, and just absolutely amazing food. So it's known for food, it's known for its culture, and it's known for festivals. And that's pretty much India. So that's all. I would pass it to Claire from here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Anand. Hi, my name is Claire. I'm from Senegal, and I am a Green. I am really excited to be giving you an overview of our Senegal program. So first, I'm going to start by introducing our team. So we are a team of 6 people, currently a team of 6 people. So we have Makumba, our country director, Sam, our program assistant, myself, program manager, as well as 3 amazing team leaders. So we have James, Abde, and Sukaina. And I'm going to now start with giving you a quick overview of Senegal as a country. So Senegal is a small country on the western coast of Africa. So we have a tropical climate. It is bright and sunny. Sunny, I'm sure you can see, and warm all year long. And one of the things we really pride ourselves in Senegal is our teranga. So teranga is the Wolof word for hospitality. And culturally, people here are just really warm and welcoming. And this is one of the things that fellows appreciate the most about their time here in Senegal. Senegal is a very diverse country, so we have a multitude of different ethnic groups and languages spoken. We have about 20 different local languages spoken, but the languages that the fellows will come in contact with the most will be Wolof. So this is the most spoken local language in Senegal, and it's also the language that they will hear in their host families, in their homestays, and in their communities. And then there's also French. So French is the official language of the country, and they will hear some of it, or maybe depending on where they go in their education, apprenticeships in schools and things like that. In terms of cuisine, Senegal has a really flavorful rice-based diet. So what this means is that Senegal fellows do eat a whole lot of rice during their time here in Senegal. We also eat a lot of millet, depending on where you're located in the country. Religion-wise, Senegal is 90% Muslim, so it's a Muslim country. Well, a 90% Muslim population in the country. So most of our host families are Muslim families, but we also have a small Christian minority. So some fellows might be placed in Christian families as well. Now I'm going to talk about Chess, which is where our program is running. So Chess is a region in Senegal, located an hour away from Dakar, the capital city. So this is our hub. So what this means is that this is where our regional office is located. This is where all our fellows are placed, and this is also where the team leaders live. So team leaders live in the city of Chess, and there are no single team leader is no more than an hour away from their furthest fellow. So this is to allow for quick access to fellows or to team leaders if there's a need. In terms of the placements that we have here in the Senegal program, so we have 3 different placements. So we have urban placements. So these are placements that are sites that are in cities. We also have semi-urban placements. So these are small and medium-sized towns. And finally, we have rural placements. So these are small villages in and around Chess. In terms of transportation, so for fellows to move around from placement to placement or around the country, so depending on where they are, they can walk, take the taxis, private taxis or public taxis, and sometimes they can even take the bus to go from one place to another. And finally, in terms of apprenticeships, so we have a variety of apprenticeships. We have apprenticeships in the education sector. We have apprenticeships in the public health sector, as well as in agriculture, especially in the more rural places. And we also have small businesses. So these are like tailoring shops. So we know Senegalese fashion is a big thing here. So a lot of fellows do enjoy the tailoring apprenticeships. And we also have carpentry shops and other small businesses in their communities. And finally, we also have a few fellows who will have a chance to apprentice in the media sector. So we have a few apprenticeships as a radio show host, online bloggers, or even high school newspapers editors. So these are just a few of the broad categories that we have here in Senegal. And so now I will pass it over back to Elikem, who will talk a little bit more about how to support your fellows. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire, and thank you to our country teams for giving that overview and the context and flair and differences in the programs you see come out as each representative talks about their work. So I want to spend maybe another minute or two to talk about just supporting your fellow. I think right now, as they are getting ready to leave, just really remember that this is about their own agency in their fellow experience. The more they can own this experience, the more they will get out of this. So coaching, mentoring them to own the experience, to do the preparation work, to engage in the pre-departure campaign, fellow fundraising, visas, all of those things, that they themselves lead it is the best way to support your fellow. Helping to set expectations, to keep them ready, to get them ready, things that they're going to meet, reading our terms and conditions so that you are familiar with these things. For example, drug and alcohol not being part of our program, making sure that you are clear with them about the expectations of the program. We need your help in supporting them right now as they prepare for departure. This is a critical short time of 2 months about where they are excited to be wrapping up high school. For most of them, they are saying goodbyes to families. They are celebrating the big achievement. And yet they do have a number of tasks that they have to do that Rocio and the program coordinator interns who are returning alums are going to be shepherding them to do through this next few weeks. And we need your help in nudging them. You know them best, and so you know the techniques and tricks and things that you can get them you can do to get them to do what they're supposed to do. This is about getting their visas on time. This is about making sure their medical preparation forms are in place, their medical plans are in place, all the learning, taking some time to do their language learning, which is not required, but it's important. Signing, doing the DocuSign, reading, watching the health and safety videos, all the things that they need to do to prepare them to leave. If you can help us by nudging and encouraging them to do it, we'll be very grateful. The other thing that you can do to support fellows now, your fellow now, is the fellow fundraising. You know your network better than even some of your fellows do. So if you can open up your network to them, to friends, family workers, family members, co-workers, community members, that will help them as they reach their fellow fundraising goal. Some companies will match the fundraising. So if you're working for a company that does match, finding out what the policies are and how you can get your fellow the match that they need, that will help them reach their goal faster. Also, helping to brainstorm with them how to reach your community and what's the messaging. We really would prefer for our parents not to write the check for the fellow, even if you can underwrite the whole fellow fundraising. We really encourage family members not to do that. You can support with a generous donation, but we want them to own this experience. So if you can help them and brainstorm ways to reach your community that will be effective and messages to use, please do that in a way to support your fellows. I'm going to hand it over now to Rocio, who is going to talk to you about some important dates.
Hello again. I'm going to just reiterate some of the dates that are already posted on the family portal. These dates will hopefully not be new to anyone if you've been reviewing our information, but I'm just going to go over them to be extra clear. The global launch will be on August 25th through the 31st at Stanford. We've talked about this a little bit before. It's our official gathering, training, team building week that we have. We also have a family orientation and an induction barbecue for families on August 30th. This is by no means mandatory for families. We know that a lot of families are not in the area and will not be able to make it. So please don't feel any pressure to attend. This is simply an invitation for those who live nearby. We also have independent travel dates for fellows. These are the dates when we encourage fellows to explore the country on their own. And we ask them to do this traveling between December 15th of 2019 to January 25th, 2020. We also have some families who are able to travel to the country where their fellow is living, and we encourage for any family who is going to be traveling to see their fellow to only do it between December 15th and February 29th. This allows fellows to not miss any of the learning seminars or important curriculum and dates that the country teams already have scheduled. So if any family is going to visit their fellow, please limit it to these dates. And as you can see, there's some overlap as well between the independent travel dates and the family visits, so that fellows can also have some dates to travel with their families if they choose to. And then finally, we have the reentry training on August 5th. We meet back in California with all of the fellows again, and we do a week-long reentry training with them before we send them back home on April 11th. So now I will pass it over to Mark.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Settle. I'm the U.S. Health and Safety Manager. I am yellow only as a plug for your yellow fever vaccinations. So this is a good time to be planning for your vaccinations. And so really quickly, just want to talk a little bit about communication and how best to reach us and contact us and any information that you may need. So first and foremost is the family portal. This is an excellent resource for you and for your fellow and for the rest of your family. It has all this information on it, so don't worry about jotting these numbers down. Fundraising information, all that can be found on the family portal. You know, it is a really big deal. You have your child, your ward heading across the world, living in a different place. So we always 24/7 have means to communicate. There are in-country emergency hotlines, and then there is the U.S. emergency hotline. Here at Global Citizen Year, we define emergency as any incident that involves an expedited response, meaning that we need to go get someone or they need to get to the hospital quickly, and or an overnight hospitalization. So that is an emergency. During any emergency, it is always best and preferred for the fellow to communicate directly with staff. Sometimes a fellow may call you if they're panicked, and then a parent may call the U.S. emergency hotline. This will delay care for that fellow and also increase stress on all parties involved. So please always encourage your fellow to contact directly with their in-country emergency hotline or with their team leader or staff in-country. Then staff will then call us here in the U.S. office, and then we will coordinate emergency response with you back home via that emergency hotline. So the U.S. emergency hotline is for true emergencies. This is also the hotline you could call for your emergencies back home. So any family emergencies happen back home and you need to get in contact with us urgently, you can call that U.S. emergency hotline. And then this is also a number that we coordinate with in-country staff to give that fellow the best support possible. So please reserve this hotline for true emergencies. Non-emergencies, as Elika mentioned, we want you as parents and as family to be really allies to help us support your fellow. So some non-emergencies, vast majority would be gastrointestinal related. Any reoccurring instances, any incidents related to pre-existing conditions or maybe some concerning behavioral concerns, we will proactively contact you, most likely via email, to then set up some support so that we could best support your fellow to move past any of those reoccurring or concerning incidents, non-emergencies. These fellows, they're adults. Many of them are 18. They are young adults. So we do try to balance their privacy and confidentiality, but also keeping you informed. So we will always essentially ask permission from the fellow to make sure that they feel comfortable with us informing you. We encourage the fellow to inform you directly of any and all incidents that may occur. That could be for minor things like a rash or for more major things that might require an overnight hospitalization. So we do balance this, but we always try our best to keep you up to date and informed. And as always, if you have any questions, these are these contacts that you could reach. So you could call the office during normal business hours, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But the best way to get in touch with us would be this fellow support email. So feel free to reach out that email at any time. We will respond to you within 24 to 48 hours. And we are here in partnership to best support your fellow. So those would be the best ways to get in touch with us. And that wraps up the rest of the information that we'll be giving to you. So right now will be question and answer time. As you may have noticed, everyone's muted, but you can type in those questions and we'll read those aloud to answer any questions that may come up. And as always, you know, the fellow support and other means that we just discussed are available for you throughout the pre-departure campaign, up into launch, and throughout the program cycle. So if you don't have any questions or don't feel like you need to stick around, feel free to drop off this call. We appreciate your time, but we will all be here on the line to answer any questions you have for the next 5 to 10, 15 minutes.